Greetings, this is Fallon Hart, and welcome back to me exploring my latest obsession. So, the last video before this, I have uploaded and then cancelled whilst it's been uploading and then uploaded again. I've not second guessed myself like this on a video for a while, and I think it's because there are aspects of it that give away a bit too much. And I don't like that, because the Enneagram stuff, it gets into your core motivations. And so, if I remember correctly, so the two I'm struggling to find myself with is 9 and 5. And 9's fear ruining relationships and friendships through disagreement and conflict. They basically fear being alone. And 5's fear being useless. So a lot of the traits that they've developed is down to this core fear. And I think part of the reason why these are both resonating so strong with me is because both of these are fears that I have. I legitimately do feel useless. I don't really have any discernible talents that can be applied to how I really have use. Part of how agreeable I can be and how I'm willing to say yes to a lot of the stuff to my own detriment, which is very 9, is because I don't want to feel useless. I want to give back in some way, which is interesting because not feeling useless is more of the 5 thing, which is why they gain so much information on things. So they know. And a lot of my behaviors are very 5. It's very 5. And I've heard it in how I've been talking whilst rewatching the last video I recorded. I can hear it in my language about how I talk about certain things. The whole idea of knowing stuff so we can best avoid other things. So I do feel like there's definite mixture between 5 and 9, and it's very, very hard to nail down, but I'm getting closer to it. I think, so I'm currently in the process of looking through branches and listening to the same podcasts and whatnot I've been listening to, but on all the types. So today, whilst on my walk, I'm back. I feel great, which is why we're doing this. I was listening to more of that podcast, and I got through 8, and I think 6. I can't remember what one. 8 is the one that I remember. I was partway through 7. I'm not 8. However, there are certainly aspects of me that show 8-like traits. Especially when I'm being protective and defensive of like family and loved ones. In fact, the first time that aspect of me showed up, I was shocked. I didn't realize. And this happens whenever a threat comes up, or whenever family and whatnot are threatened. A lot of my anxiety vanishes, and I go into pure protective mode. It's an aspect of me I'm actually rather proud of, because before this kicked off the first time, I honestly thought that I was a bit of a coward. But that's shown me that when it really matters, a lot of the bullshit that I have going on in my system disappears, and I focus purely on protecting the people I care about, which I'm quite proud of. I'm a man. It's what a lot of us are like. It's an aspect of us a lot of us are going to be proud of. So yeah. So I've been consuming a lot, watching YouTube videos, reading articles, listening to podcasts, same as last time. There's one channel I've been binging quite consistently because her style is a lot like Frank James, if you're aware of him. He's an INFJ, and he does a lot of these quick kind of like personality type sketch comedy. And the more you learn about the types, the more on point it is. And it's a great way of kind of like weeding out aspects of yourself that might not be true. Like, okay, I'm not connecting with this one and all like constantly. So again, if I am a type 9, that means that I kind of chameleon. I absorb the energy around me, which is very INFJ, so it makes sense. And because of that, it's hard for me to kind of nail down my sense of self, which is why it's at the top of the path, because it kind of has a bit of all the different numbers, which makes sense. So this is part of the reason why I'm looking into the different numbers. So what we're going to do, long story longer, is we're going to do these. I found 2 more tests. This one was part of a sponsor on one of the channels that I've been watching, and if I can open it up, this one is another one that was recommended in that same description. So we're going to do these two. This one gets high praise, but this was also a sponsor, so keep that in mind. It might actually not be all that accurate. It's just a sponsor. But we're going to do it, and we're going to see what we get. Because, as I've said, I've got 4 every single time in these, followed by 3, and then in 3rd place is 9. Now, 9's almost level. 9's often mistype as 5s. So this is what we're going to do. In my constant drive to kind of get to the bottom of this, we're going to do more of these. I have actually ordered a book as well that I'm going to be going through. That goes through, it's kind of like a nice entry-level thing that goes through a lot of the types, and it's in this nice condensed place. And quite frankly, reading a book is far more comfortable than reading on a stream, so for long periods of time. So that's what we're going to do. So this one, I'm actually going to upload. Alright? Hopefully. What's that? It's a little bit of bell pepper. In the bin you go. Right, let's start this. Answer honestly and personally, and try not to let your environment or current circumstance affect your answer. It can sometimes be hard to focus, but will help you along the way. Here's kind of what a question looks like. Click left, click right. I'm going to click left. It's pretty easy, isn't it? Now, relax your shoulders. Be aware of yourself, and let's get started. When faced with potential, let me just check it's all, yeah. When faced with potential problems, it's difficult to avoid getting stuck on the negative and becoming obsessive, emotionally shutting down. Important value. I'm gonna go quiet every now and again while I think, reminisce about think about different things in the past. Important values for me include duty and responsibility, harmony and acceptance. I tend to think of worst case scenarios, think that everything will work out for the best. I get overly concerned with doing better than others, making things better for others. I respond to adversity by feeling hardened and resolute, discouraged and resigned. Resigned. I tend to feel this one and then move on to this one once I gain my sense back, I think. No. If I'm convinced that I'm right with something, and it's not something I have an insecurity with, I feel hardened and resolute. Because I advocate for certain causes, such as men's rights, that is considered inherently evil and by a lot of people, and I vehemently disagree. And it doesn't matter how much bullshit I get, I'm not going to change my mind on that, because men, I don't care how many people make them the devil figure in their faith, we're human like everyone else, and we deserve that understanding. And I'm tired of all the blame being put on us, even when it comes to like, oh, the patriarchy affects men too. So the system designed to benefit men doesn't benefit men. Okay. So no, but if it's something I have an insecurity in, I do feel discouraged because that it plays on my insecurity. So kind of both. But if I've got an insecurity on it, what would that mean? No. It's more important to me to fit in with others, stand out from others. Fit in. I'm sick of standing out. I think of myself as a peacemaker in groups, an ethical decision maker. I'm a bit of a peacemaker. When pursuing others with outcomes with others, I push hard, even if it makes others uncomfortable. I don't push others because I don't like feeling pressured. Yeah. I can sometimes let others push me around, be demanding with others. Both, but more so this one. I have often empathized how different I am from other people, how much I have in common with other people, how different. I do it all the time, and I don't do it to feel. This is a free thing. I don't do it to feel special, like people say with freeze. I keep getting freeze comes second all the time in these. I feel different because I feel different, and it feels very fucking alien, and it's ungoddamn believably frustrating. Constantly feeling like an outcast, even within an environment in which you know people love you, fucking sucks. It's not fun. It's not special. It's not unique. It's not, oh, look at me, I'm a special snowflake. It's fucking demoralizing. That no matter what situation you're gonna be in, you don't quite fit. You're like an alien. I do go on about how fucking different I feel from other people, but it's not a badge of honor. It's a point of frustration. It's actually one of the reasons the only type that I've read about that I don't want to be is free, because to me frees come across as extremely unstable. But maybe that's a defense mechanism, and maybe I actually am free. But I don't relate to frees on the same level I relate with like 9s and 5s. Sorry, I keep saying free. I meant 4. Sorry, that's 4s. I'm talking about 4s, not frees. Frees are a different one. I've not looked into frees. I'm talking about 4s. 4s are the artists, the individualist type ones. Sorry, I got that confused. I have frequently been drawn to situations that stir up deep, intense emotions, makes me feel at ease. I tend to focus too much on myself, focus too much on others. I worry after every conversation. I replay it back in my head, and the thing that keeps going through my head is, did I talk about myself too much? Did I talk about myself too much? Did I talk about myself too much? Because I have a habit of empathizing by sharing personal experience and personal thoughts. So a lot of it is me, I. And in retrospect, that can sound a lot like thinking about myself and focusing on myself, but I do it to connect. I'm not being absorbed. I'm saying, I understand because here's my similar experience. This makes you feel better. That's how I do it. But I'm aware of how that can come across. I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to say myself, but I'm not sure whether that's right. I get into trouble in relationships because my reluctance to get too involved with them, my desire to have people need me, I tend to keep shields up. Especially these days, I do tend to keep shields up, especially with family. And I've realized that I do that. It's like, yeah, I'm very insular. I tend to come on a little too strong with people, not assert myself enough with people. I can be too passive and uninvolved, controlling and manipulative. I was very much like this in my teens, but I think these days I'm more like this. But I do have manipulative tendencies, and in terms of introspection, I have come to the conclusion that a lot of the time, a lot of my issues come down to wanting to have control over a situation. Like, that's kind of what anxiety is. It's fear of what you cannot control. A lot of the 5 tendencies comes down to researching and finding out as much information as possible, so you have the knowledge, and knowledge is power. And once you know a situation, you know what will come up, or what might come up, and then you know how to deal with that. So it's all about being in control. But I tend to be passive and uninvolved. My head is different from my actions. In most situations, I like to take the lead. I do not like to be a leader. I usually enjoy high pressure. No. Dislike being in. Yeah. In general, I will do anything to protect my authority, my peace of mind. Sorry, my autonomy. Ooh. My mind is fucking like flustered constantly. I'm never really at peace unless I can completely disassociate and disengage and just get out of it and like just enjoy a video game or something. So I'm typically interested in asking tough questions and maintaining independence, maintaining my stability and peace of mind. Yeah. When in conversations, I tend to press my arguments forth, but I tend to let things go to prevent hard feelings. Now, this is a funny one, because the more comfortable I am, the more I'm likely to be pushy and forceful. The less comfortable I am, the more likely I am to let things go to prevent hard feelings. So, in arguments and that, I can become really ragey, really passionate and emotional. But in conversations, I'll poo-poo things away. As it relates to disturbing, frightening things, I find myself attracted to them. I've for a long time been attracted to the macabre and the disturbing and shit like that. I've spent time on like rotten.com back in the day and various kind of not safe for work Reddits that showcase shit that I'm not going to repeat on YouTube, but it's the kind of shit that would scar a lot of people, I think, but I just find the mechanics of it interesting. I often get anxious if there's too much excitement and stimulation. Yes! Oh my god, I hate summer. Screeching children, constant parties, music blasting because people have deafened themselves so they can only feel music instead of hearing it. God, my Christ, yes. I try to keep my life fast-paced, no. Regular, stable, and peaceful. A problem for me has been overcoming, what the hell is that? Inertia. I've heard of the word before, but we're gonna look it up. Oh, shit. No, pin that to taskbar. I don't want to unpin it. Open Chrome. Right. Make sure this is still recording the right one. Yeah. Inertia. A tendency to do nothing or remain unchanged. Definitely. That's one of my major problems. I will look into, like, I like finding information. I will look into a lot of this stuff. I'll get obsessive with this kind of psychology stuff, but I'll never really truly put what I've learned into action. I gather the information, and I just use it in conversation. And I play it out in my head over and over again. I ruminate on it, but I never really do anything with it. So yeah. In the workplace, I prefer to... no, in the workplace, I'd be cooperative. Alright, let's keep going. When I feel insecure, I tend to react by becoming dismissive or defensive. Dismissive. Yeah. When I dislike others, I may secretly think of myself as being superior to them. I can be passive-aggressive when provoked. The people I have met in recent years that I dislike, I do find myself being superior. The kind of chavvy people that will threaten you over nothing and threaten my dogs. Like, I wanted, if I didn't have my dogs with me, it wouldn't have happened in the first place, but I might have lashed out. These people are trash. So it's a case of, one thing I've often said is, like, certain people, why would I be offended by what these people think of me? Because they're nothing. I have no respect for these people, so why would I care about what their opinions are? And the same goes for a lot of tribalistic types and so on and so forth. Like, I do consider myself morally or ethically superior, if I'm being entirely honest. I can be passive-aggressive, but I think a lot of the time, if I dislike someone, I find myself feeling a lot, thinking that I'm better than them. Obviously, with introspection and thinking, like, that's not the case. They're a multifaceted human being just like I am. But in that emotional state, I'm more likely to just put myself on a higher pedestal than them. I tend to come across as unsure of myself, sure of myself, unsure of myself. It's more important to me to stand by those closest to me, stand up for what is right. It's more important for me to stand up for what is right, but I hate being put into this situation. I will disagree with family. I will disagree with family. Openly. As they know. But there's disagreements on political issues and social issues, and then there's like, what would happen if they did something that I didn't like and I was about. And in my experience, when that's happened, I've been more of a family member and less of an antagonist, and I've stood by them. So in mild disagreements, I will, like political and social stuff, I will stand up for what I believe is right. Damn what they think. However, when it comes to serious shit, I find myself being less judgmental of them than I would other people, and basically trying to comfort them, and looking at things on their side. So I do think when it matters, I'm that. I've often been bothered by nervousness, insecurity, and doubt, anger, perfectionism, and impatience. All of the above. Anger is a thing I struggle with. Impatience is a thing I struggle with. And whilst I wouldn't exactly call myself a perfectionist, that constant negging myself of everything I do is shit, everything I do is shit, everything I do is shit, I'm nowhere near as good as what I should be. This is actually one of the reasons why I fell out of love with photography, because I was too critical of myself, and I've seen people who just... I know enough to know what I don't know, and this has been a constant issue with me. It's like, I keep being called I've repeatedly been being called intelligent, and I don't see it. I think it's just the way I talk, or the kind of topics that I get into, or the way I kind of like flow around certain topics like this, that I sound more intelligent than I actually am. I'm a dumbass. Legitimately. I assume that most people around me are more intelligent than I am. And a lot of the times, unless it's like random information, like if we're talking about animals, then I'm more knowledgeable, but that doesn't mean I'm more intelligent. But again, is this perfectionism? Nervousness, insecurity, and doubt, definitely. I'm insecure about a lot. Again, the intelligence, I'm talking about it right now. I've got social anxiety, and nervousness, so both. All of this shit. I'm a fucking broken human being. I tend to have more patience with family. The more I love somebody, the more patience I have. I think this one is more so. I depend on perseverance and common sense, imaginations, and moments of inspiration. I want to select this one because the things that occasionally I'll get up and I'll be really motivated by inspiration, and that's when I'm at my most productive. When I get an idea in my head that I think will be fun, and I go out and I do it, I'm looking at this for a reason. It's stupid, but it added a little bit of extra fun to my walk, looking for a stick that would aid to it. And it meant that the walk wasn't as difficult as it would usually be, because I'm focused on something instead of in my head. It brought me out of my head a little bit to focus on what's around me. And then it was actually really relaxing carving this up. This is the one I did properly, which isn't very great, but it was really relaxing. and then it added a little bit of fun to the stream. It's such a small thing, but there's multiple levels of this that improved my experience at the time. When I'm motivated by inspiration or imagination, I am at my best. Perseverance, I can give up quite easily, and I have common sense, but sometimes common sense isn't that common, and listening to your emotions and whatnot is more powerful. So I mostly do what I have to do what I want to do. I do what I want to do until I have to do what I have to do. I can be romantic and imaginative, pragmatic and down to earth. I think I'm more of this. I can be when advising other people, but I tend to engage in escapism. And I think if I was really pragmatic, although the kind of characters that I typically play are very pragmatic, and they say that the kind of character you gravitate towards in RPGs comes from an aspect of yourself if you're constantly gravitating towards them. You know what? I'm going to select that because I think that's pretty much what most people would describe me as over that. I can be a bit skeptical and suspicious, emotional and sentimental. Both. I'm actually quite sentimental. But I'm also very skeptical. I have moments of this, but I think this is my default. I often wonder how I can get closer to others or what others want from me. I get into trouble with others by being too intrusive and interfering, evasive and uncommunicative. When I'm stressed, I tend to be indecisive, isolate myself from others, 100%. When making a difficult decision, I am comfortable taking calculated risks, moving forward if I feel stable. Yes. I can create problems with others by being pessimistic and complaining. Yeah. It is typically more important for me to pursue my personal interests, have stability and security. See, pursuing my interests often leads to feeling more stable. So stability and security is important, but this shit is what keeps my head stable. I have been proud of my objectivity, my loyalty. I am proud. I go on about fucking tribals all the time. You're damn right I'm proud of not being a fucking loyal tribal. In fact, I got into issues with my mother on a regular basis because she'd complain about something to me that she experienced with someone else. Like, she got into an argument with someone, and I would be able to see both sides, and I'd give her both sides. And she always took that as a personal attack of me not siding with her. So, yeah, even when it will lead me into a bad position, I will find a way of every side of the argument having a point. Even if I very much agree with one side. In fact, especially if I agree with one side, then I will be more inclined to search for an opposite view, the opposing viewpoint, and give that attention, so it seems as if, so at least appears that I'm not biased. My objectivity, 100%. My thoughts are typically speculative, imaginative, and curious, practical, focused on outcomes. I wouldn't say practical, but I am focused on outcomes. I would say this. Yeah. I tend to be careful and prepared for unseen problems, spontaneous and impulsive as problems rise. I would like to believe this, because this one is at the core of a lot of the obsessions I get into and why I'm constantly seeking information. But in reality, it's mostly an escape. It's escapism. I tend to put shit off. So I'd say I'm actually more improvise as problems arise. No, I think I'm more than that. When choosing between several good options, I choose whatever I think will be the most satisfying. I choose whatever it has the most clear-cut path. Ooh. Just because something is simple doesn't mean it'll get what the better out of it. But again, it depends on what I mean by several good options. If they're all good options, and I will choose what's most satisfying, definitely. If I'm going to have the better outcome, it doesn't matter if I have to wait a little bit longer or anything like that. It does matter if I have to put in like a shit ton of extra work, though. That's the thing. But I'm going to go with that. When I'm sure, I often doubt my instincts, give into my perfectionist tendencies. I doubt myself. Alright, let's keep going. Page 10 of 22, we're halfway there. I typically come off as diplomatic, charming, and ambitious, direct, formal, and idealistic. Diplomatic, yes, not the other ones. Especially not ambitious. Direct, formal, and idealistic. I would say more so. Especially if you've ever been in an argument with me. Being accepted and well-liked, just check if it's still recording, yes. Being accepted and well-liked has been a priority for me, isn't a big concern about me. I wouldn't say it's a priority, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a concern. A lot of the issues with feeling like an alien is the fact that I don't feel as if I would be accepted if I did release a lot of my true self, and that kind of sucks. So that's what I'm going to say, yeah. Over the years, my values and lifestyle have changed several times, have been fairly consistent. They've been fairly consistent. Being the center of attention usually feels strange to me. I hate it. I hate it. This is actually one of the reasons I hate birthdays as well, because people will randomly call you as like, oh, happy birthday. No, leave me alone. And people don't get that. A lot of people do not understand that. I don't dislike birthdays because I'm 1 year closer to death or anything like that. That's what some people say. Like, I hate birthdays because it forces me to be in the center of attention. It forces me to, like, it puts a lot of pressure on me and I can't stand it. Typically, I experience an even-tempered mood, strong changes in mood, yeah. Usually, my feelings don't factor into getting the job done. Must be processed before I act. If I'm feeling fucked, I can't do anything. I am a well-meaning supporter, a highly motivated go-getter. People describe me as having a warm presence, a charming personality. I'd say I'm pretty warm. I'm warm more than I'm charming, which is weird because I know I can come off as cold, but I think I'm warm more than I'm charming. With my friendships, I probably insist on too much closeness, keep too much distance. Yeah, definitely. An important value for me is being independent, self-reliant, being valued and admired. No. When confronting someone, I can be harsh or direct. I often avoid saying what needs to be said. Yeah. I often feel the need to be the pillar of strength, perform perfectly. When trying to make a favorable impression on others, I can sometimes prioritize managing others' perceptions of me over my own wants and needs. Overthink how to make a good impression and get lost in my head. Yeah, this is like the strongest one. So those around me, those around me might see me as respectable, even admirable, unusual, and different. That's really how it feels. In regards to what brings, in regards to work that brings reward and personal recognition, I typically pursue the opportunity. I will pass it up if to do work I'm interested in. If it's something that I'm gonna hate, then yeah. I don't care about I don't care about like recognition and all this kind of shit. In fact, it just brings more attention your way. If it's something I'm going to hate, I'm going to do the stuff that is more pleasurable. When presented with a new experience, I usually it will be useful to me. Will it be enjoyable? Yeah, will it be enjoyable? When managing details, I'm not playing to my strengths. I have excel. I think depending, it does depend. Too much details can be overwhelming, and I often get bogged down in details. So I would say that I wouldn't say that I'm. No, I've just said it myself, didn't it? Details are something I obsess over often, but does that mean that it's playing to my strength? No, not really. I tend to be single-minded and persistent, open and exploring various alternatives. Yeah. When I see others making a mistake, I typically do not speak up. I help others see that they are making a mistake. It depends on what it is, but again, I'm typically pretty passive. I would consider myself an intuitive, individualistic person, an organized, reasonable person. Intuitive. I can be driven and hard on myself, too emotional and sometimes undisciplined completely. I think a lot about how to demonstrate my care for others, what positive and negative effects my actions may have, yes. I have gotten angry when others have not shown appreciation for what I've done for them. Listen to why I hate being... Yeah. It is more important for me to feel needed by the community, useful in my community. It's the same kind of thing, really. I want to feel useful. I've tried to motivate people by making big plans and big promises, pointing out consequences of not taking my recommendation. Alright, 8 pages left. Let's get going. I wasn't sure about that last one, but I don't think I'd be the kind of person to make big, grandiose statements. People have trusted me because I am confident and can look out for them, fair, and will do what's right. Yeah. In fact, today, I went to the local corner shop. I was getting a paper for a family member, and right before I went in, I dropped a bunch of the fucking coins on the floor. I was a bit scatterbrained today. Before I went on the walk, and the guy, I was like 10p off because I didn't find all the coins, and the guy's like, oh, don't worry about that. I'm like, thank you. So I went out and I started looking immediately for the coins. I found the 20p on the floor. I took it back to them. It's like, here are mate, I don't want to screw you over. It's like, you didn't have to do that. So he gave me a 10p back, and I went, that's to me what's right. I fucked him over 10p, and that might not seem like much. He didn't really care that much, but I wanna. If I can do what's right, I want to do what's right. So yeah, I just sometimes I sometimes put people off by being too aggressive, too uptight, too aggressive. It's one of the reasons I try and control my emotions, because I can get too passionate. It can be difficult, which I've shown on YouTube actually. It can be difficult for me to move beyond evaluation and make a decision, take it easy and be more flexible. When evaluating situations, I typically have a strong convictions about how they should be, have serious doubts about how things seem to be. Yeah, I am... a lot of people would take a sideline look at me and believe that I'm a massive conspiracy theorist. But I'm not. I just don't trust systems that are constantly lying to me and are often corrupt and one-sided and favoring powerful people. I'm a typical lefty, really. Even if I do piss off a lot of even if I do disagree with a lot of modern lefties, I still have that core principle of distrusting authority, especially when money and power is at risk. And we've been lied to too often. Yeah. I tend to see people as intrusive and demanding, disorganized and irresponsible. I am often an outgoing, sociable person. Yes, earnest, self-disciplined person. I'm not that. I'm more of that. I can sometimes be serious and strict with myself, freewheeling and permissive with myself. I feel as if I should click this, but in reality, I beat myself all the fucking time. I enjoy letting go and pushing the limits, keeping control of myself. What I say and enjoy with it, but people are often drawn to me because of my generosity, uniqueness. I wouldn't say people are drawn off to me because of my uniqueness. I'd say people are put off from me because of that. Generosity. I don't say I'm overly generous either. I think uniqueness probably makes more sense. When I feel vulnerable, I tend to hide my emotions from others, fear that no one really likes me. In giving affection, I tend to withhold wanting others to come to me. Give my affection too freely. Yeah. When spending my time, I prefer to look inward, understanding my feelings. It's important to me. Yeah, no, I look inward constantly. One of my main assets has been my ability to take charge of situations, understand and express my feelings and emotions. Regarding my own feelings, it is more important for me to spend time understanding and coping with them, neglect them to be strong for others around me. Both. I do both. Especially when it comes to close loved ones, I will often put my bullshit aside until they're okay. Especially if they're doing that thing with me with, it's like they're unleashing, they're venting, they're getting a lot of bullshit out of their system. That's not the time for my feelings and emotions. That's the time for them to basically, get that stuff out of me, because I'm a decent listener. At least I believe I am. It's like I need time alone to recharge. If I don't get that, it is a mixture between two. I spend more time alone than I do dealing with that, but the choice between the two, I'm gonna do this until I emotionally can't anymore, and then I burst, and I just have this massive like volcano eruption. So I know these are kind of counterintuitive, but understanding and being able to express them is not the same as like doing it all the time. As it relates to my feelings, I tend to dwell on my feelings and hold on to them for a while, minimize my feelings and not pay attention to them. I am typically open-minded, willing to try new things, open and willing to share my feelings with others. I tend to be detached and preoccupied, moody and self-absorbed. Preoccupied. I do it all the time. I'll occasionally talk to people in the street, and they'll get my attention. They can be right next to me, and I might actually know them well, but I won't notice them because I'll be so in my head. And then they'll speak to me, and then I'll snap. My attention will just snap into focus to them, like, oh hey, and my face will go from like that walking to, oh hey, how's it going? It will just change like that. It's weird, but I think people know that with me at this point. I'm not depressed, I'm not sad, there's nothing going wrong, I'm just in my head. I have missed out because I have not felt up to taking opportunities, pursue too many possibilities. I tend to keep thinking about the past, anticipating things I'm going to do. I have a hard time speaking up for myself, keeping things to myself. Both. Myself is the key word there. I will have a hard time keeping my mouth shut when it comes to other people's rights. But mine specifically, speaking up, I like to rally people around a common goal, help people in practical everyday ways. My typical approach is to jump in and help people, show people how to help themselves. I try to present myself to others as decisive, compassionate. I am often I am so involved in my own projects that I've become isolated with others that I may neglect my own work. A high priority for me is being a sensitive listener, being a lifelong learner. I have needed to show affection to people. I have preferred to maintain some distance with people. I'm appreciated for my unsinkable spirit and resourcefulness, deep caring and personal warmth. I work hard to find joy in everyday tasks, understand the needs of others. Yeah. I often take pride in the importance I have in others' lives, my enthusiasm and openness to new experiences. I don't think I have this, legitimately. Again, like, I beat myself up all the time. But I think if I think out of the two of them, I'd be more prideful in being important in someone's life. Others depend on my insight and knowledge, strength and decisiveness. When situations get heated, I tend to stay on the sidelines. I tend to get in the middle of things. It depends on what the topic is. But in general... I can only do one. Eventually, I will burst. It depends. If I can get out of the situation, I will. But if I'm doomed to... Because I feel it. That's the thing. Like, if I again, INFJ, I feel the tension. It like, I feel the frustration. And I can often see both sides of whatever argument is going on. And it often just feels like two people that are just shouting at each other when they should have just been fucking communicating. And after a certain point, I just fucking blow. I can only deal with so much of it. But I think because of that, I tend to stay out of it until I can't anymore. I care more about pursuing my own interests and what is best for me, practically finding the most concrete results. I'm usually measured, straight-talking and deliberate. Excitable, fast-talking and witty. I don't know about witty, but definitely. I worry that I lack the resources to fulfill my responsibilities, self-discipline to focus on what is fulfilling. One of my major strengths has been organizing resources and making things happen, generating new ideas and getting people excited about them. I am often focused and intense, spontaneous and fun-loving. Yeah, like the way I walk, like I was actually talking about this today at a family's house, talking about my walk, because they're like, that's really fast for like doing that 4 rounds. What the hell? And the other guy is like, he walks really fast. I'm like, it's been described as like marching. Like, I walk like I want to kill someone. I've actually come to the conclusion that this is why I get a lot of looks whilst I'm on the walk, because I look so fucking intense, and people probably get the wrong idea of me. So yeah. As a result of pressure from others, I can become withdrawn. I can become assertive, withdrawn. Typically, I do not have much self-discipline, connection with people. I spend most time thinking about improving myself, my relationships. All right, this was actually really interesting. This was not quite like any of the others I've done, so we'll see what I get. Is it going to be 5 again? Oh, do I have to kind of just get the results? Okay. All right, we have the results, and yet again, it's 5, the Sage. With a wing in the originalist, 4, so a 5 with a 4 wing. My growth is the Challenger, 8, which actually makes a lot of sense. I've been reading into the other. I don't know much about 7. I don't know much about 7 just yet. I've only just started like looking into that. But I do know a bit about 8 at this point. That's actually very, very true. The more confident I am, the more assertive and aggressive I can be. So, yeah. That actually makes sense. That was a decent one. And we have yet another fucking one done in which I am a 5. Every single fucking time. And what's interesting is this one does not have 9. This one doesn't have 9. This is the only one I've done that doesn't have 9 in 3rd place. It has 8. It also has 7. And I'm a 7 when I'm in stress, apparently. Can become scattered, disorganized, and distracted by moving towards the negative qualities of 7s. Often will neglect the needs of others and focus solely on selfish needs for autonomy and solitude. May become standoffish, short-sighted, and condescending. That's actually spot fucking on. That is 100%. The more stressed I am, I become scatterbrained and just fucking... Just leave me the fuck alone. Just piss off. I don't care. No, fuck off. Like, it's... and I need time on my own to recharge. That's actually 100 fucking percent. Wow. Okay, the challenger becomes more confident, assertive, outspoken, and spontaneous by moving towards the positive qualities of 8s. Exudes energy and harnesses that energy to stay focused and achieve goals. Less trapped into mind and more present in body. Yeah, and this doesn't come out very often, but when it does come out, I feel fucking amazing. I feel really fucking good. This is true. Okay. The Four Wings, let's see, the Sage. Motivated by the need to know and understand everything, to be self-sufficient, and to avoid looking uninformed. I hate feeling like an idiot. I hate feeling like an idiot. Kind, perceptive, open-minded, self-sufficient, and trustworthy in relationships. I wish I was more self-sufficient, believe me. I rely heavily on some family members. I don't like doing it. I feel like I'm a burden all the fucking time, and I hate it. And trustworthy in relationships. Has strong analytical skills and is a good at problem solving. Often prefers to work alone and is an independent thinker entirely. Fuck you. Naturally open and receptive to new facts and impressions. Discovery of new ideas, research and innovations. Practically and particularly the provocative, surprising, unconventional and profound. Is a good listener, pays close attention, and can help others to perceive the truth more soberly and objectively. That to me speaks volumes. That to me sounds very, very true. The Four Wing enables a greater degree of creativity and empathy. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing that I really disengage with when it comes to the 5. Is the 5 is often described as lacking in emotion and needing to connect with emotion, but I don't really think I have that problem, especially when it comes to other people. For myself, I can close myself off a lot, so that makes sense. But for other people, no. Unless I really dislike you, then I start to dehumanize people a little bit. But even then, I realize that I'm doing this, so I try and stop. And this pushes the whole seeing multiple angles things. The Four Wing enables greater degree of creativity and empathy, along with a wider range of emotions, from melancholy to intimacy with loved ones. On the downside, it can foster an inward focus and inability to perceive the needs of others. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure about that last bit, but inner focus definitely, but that bit I'm not sure. If that is true, then that's something I want to change. Head Triad. Sometimes called the Head Triad, type 5, 6, and 7 perceive, process, and respond to information through the mind. At the root, each type struggles with fear and flees in search of safety. 5s retreat inwards to escape the outside world. 7s charge outward to escape their inner world. 6s both retreat inward to avoid external threats and charge outward to avoid internal fears. On the outside, they can appear clear-headed, self-confident, and purposeful, while inwardly feeling alone, confused, and directionless. That's all. Yeah. That is one of the most accurate ones I've done, and I really like how they've organized it. They've not just told me to read like an entire thing, and I'm assuming that I can then look into these more. That's a really good one. I really like that one. I'll link that one below. That was, yeah, I'm happy with that. Like, that to me feels like the most concrete one. I keep thinking I must be a 9, and I keep thinking I must be a 9 because so many 9s get mistyped as 5s. But I keep getting 5 in every single one of these all the fucking time. Maybe I think I'm a 9 because I'm an INFJ, and INFJ's tendencies are very, very similar to 9. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah. Alright, let's do this one. I fear being rejected, inconsequential, disposable, unwanted, not needed, and unloved. Investigating, gathering, studying, mastering information is not just a fun process, but provides me with a sense of control and safety. It helps me feel adequate, knowledgeable, and capable. Anger comes quickly from my gut and expresses itself quickly without much thought. It can do... Yes. When situations become too emotionally intense or distressing, I will find a strong urge to lighten things up a little. Depends. I constantly crave recognition, affirmations, and praise for others. When people ask me where I want to go to dinner, I happily say I don't care. Where do you want to go? Well, I don't say I don't care because I wouldn't want to go to like a fucking like a really spicy place. But people generally know that about me anyway. But I'm like, what you have in mind? Like I'm generally pretty easygoing. I would describe myself as smart, prepared, responsible, dutiful, hardworking, worried, strong, doubtful, anxious, loyal, and committed. Medium. Smart, no. Prepared, no. Responsible, no. Dutiful, yes. Hardworking, no. Worried, yes. Strong. My self-doubt wants me to say no, but I think yes. Doubtful, yes. Anxious, yes. Loyal, yes. And committed, depending. So, most of those are pretty... I'm in the middle. I'm going to put there. I believe others will love and accept me if I am authentic, uniquely special, and different. I never want to be plain, ordinary, fuck off. I strive to be perfect. If I'm not, I fear that my inner critic and others will judge me. Slight perfect? No. Better, yes. I would describe myself as kind, agreeable, quiet person, calm, patient, receptive, and a good listener. I lose a little bit when it comes to calm and agreeable because I'm not entirely that. But yeah. To me, the world is invasive, overwhelming, and too many interactions with others depletes my energy and internal resources, which leads me to fear of catastrophic depletion. Yeah, completely. I would describe myself as spontaneous, interesting, creative, fun, visionary, imaginary, trendy, but no. I am fiercely independent, protective, and get satisfaction out of a good confrontation. No. Although I do get some satisfaction out of a good confrontation. It really depends. Like, I don't like confrontation, but sometimes I really do. Again, you should see me on Twitter. It depends entirely on what I think of a person. If I don't like a person, I will get off on an argument. If I do like a person, I won't like an argument. I would describe myself as polished, efficient, adaptable, organized, focused, successful. No. I know others avoid feeling melancholy, but it feels authentic, real, and deep to me. A little bit, yeah. Let me just check the meaning of that word, because I could be thinking of the wrong thing. Yeah, okay. Suffering from analysis paralysis. I tend to distrust my own thoughts, which leads to me seeking advice. That's quite true, actually. I'm not going to say 100%, but that's quite true. I often will ask close people to me, is like, does this look right to you? What do you think about this? Like, at a certain point, it's like, I know I'm not omniscient, so I want other takes to kind of correlate with my own to see if, like, I'm on the right track of voices that I trust, basically. I would describe myself as accurate, ethical, thorough, diligent, and responsible when making sure everything is done the right way. Medium. Words of affirmation and gratitude, like, you are so amazing, what would I do without you, and you are so helpful, are like food for my soul. I will go to great lengths to hear them. I wouldn't say I would go to great lengths to hear them, but they do sound nice. This one especially. That one I've heard, and it feels amazing. I would describe myself as outspoken, direct, realistic, opinionated, bold, protective, decisive, and tough. I can be. A fear of being inadequate, plain, emotionally cut off, commonplace, ordinary, mundane. Nah. Inadequate, yeah. A little bit up there. I fear being in conflict, experience relational tension, being loveless, separate, uncomfortable, unimportant, overlooked, shut out, or in any harmonious relationship. I fear having obligations placed on me, being intruded on, running out of internal resource, being ignorant, engulfed by interactions with lovers. 100%. I can never get enough new and stimulating experiences. I really feel, like I'm fucking boring in comparison to most people. Feelings are messy, so I suppress them to cover them up so others only see that I have it all together image. I wouldn't say I have it all together image, but I do suppress some things. There's a right way to do everything, and every task should be done in systematic and orderly. I mean, not really. There are multiple right ways and the multiple wrong ways for a lot of things. It depends on how the individual does it best. Because people aren't exactly the same. They operate to different strengths and weaknesses. And if everyone has to do things in one specific way, then this is actually going to be a way in which an individual is weak. So they're better doing it in a different way. So no, that's actually an extremely ignorant way of looking at things. I fear uncertainty, chaos, danger, being targeted, blamed, or in trouble, alone, helpless, unsafe, or physically abandoned, and not having support. Yeah. I have a deep longing to be appreciated by others and pride myself on how I attend to their needs. But my own health and well-being sometimes suffers because my strong desire and focus. But I'm a little bit in between that. I find the person I take care of the most, both now and prior, is aware of how I am enough to basically give me my own space, and sometimes even like puts their own needs second to mine. I'm very fortunate to have these people in my life. So even though I've done things for them, and do things for one of them still, they still know me enough to know what I need. So I can be like that. I do want to be appreciated, definitely. I'm gonna put it there. Like I do want to be appreciated by others, but I want it to be legitimate. And one of my love languages is acts of service. On top of that, when it comes to people I love, it takes a lot of strength, a lot of like determination to say no. I did it recently, and I kind of felt like shit afterwards for a little while, but it turned out that it actually worked for the better, because they later said that, oh, I'm actually glad that it worked out this way. So yeah, I have difficulty saying no, especially to loved ones. But you know, I'm trying to learn to say no. But yeah, so I one of my love languages is actually acts of service, and with a lot of my mentality that could very easily be taken advantage of. Thankfully, it hasn't happened yet, but yeah. Deep down, I feel like there. Can you tell why this is something I didn't upload at first? Because this can get, you know, and I feel as if it might give the wrong impression. Because I know I have family that watch this channel, and it might give the wrong impression of like, oh my god, he really hates himself, he's really depressed. Like, no, like, just because I ruminate about these things and I'm honest about these things here does not mean that this is like something that is, because here's the thing, like, every one of us has insecurities, and everyone can be placed on the Enneagram, and the Enneagram ultimately comes down to your inner demons and what fears motivate you. So everyone has these inner demons, everyone has these fears, everyone. Deep down, I feel like there's something fundamentally flawed or missing within me, which causes me to feel different, ashamed, and misunderstood. That one makes me emotional, because this is legitimately something, like, deep down, my pride tells me, like, no, but, yeah, legitimately, honestly, yeah. I feel misunderstood all the fucking time, and I'm so fucking sick of feeling like an alien. I do, like, throughout my life, I've not being all the normal shit that people are into, how people have fun and express themselves, is just not me. It feels disingenuous to do it. So I'm a master at reframing my negative experience and seeing it as a positive life. No. I respond to whatever life throws at me with confidence, in intensity, passion, and a tough exterior. No. I feel secure and safe when there is order consistently and rules to follow. To a point. As I've said before, rules can be oppressive. Being efficient, achieving goals, and checking tasks off a list are very important to me and helps me feel successful and productive. That can work for me, but it could also be overbearing, so I'm going to put that in the middle. I feel depleted. I can feel depleted and my energy resources drained when I have prolonged involvement with other people and when they place 150 fucking percent. I'm a peacekeeper, a good listener, love others without judgment. I can judge. I do judge. But, how can I put this? I judge, but I recognize when I do judge that I have similar flaws. So a lot of the time how I operate this is I attach a person's experience. Like, for example, if people have an addiction to something, now it could be far more damaging than my own addiction to food and comfort eating. They could be on drink or drugs or gambling or sex. They could have addictions that are far more damaging and life-destroying than basically becoming a fat fuck, right? Because especially the sex one, because I'm a bit of a, I'm on the asexual spectrum, so I have a real disconnect with people who just do that willy-nilly. But if they've got an addiction to it, I am going to judge because it's that specific thing. However, after my initial judgment, I'm going to connect to it myself and think, okay, well, this is an addiction. I've had an addiction. I've had a way that I've dealt with my own issues, which is eating them away and going numb and having that little sense of pleasure. And it's the same basic thing. They just do it in a different way. Who the fuck am I to judge when they're doing it in just a slightly different way than I'm doing it, right? So I do judge, but I check myself when I do. And I also do like being recognized for these abilities. I don't praise myself a lot. I don't give myself undeniable, like, I'm good at this. But I am good at being an ear for people. I am good at it. It's been the most consistent compliment I've got throughout my entire life, to the point where, you know, I've had gay people confide in me years ago. It's a different world now, but back at, like, when I was younger, I've had gay people confide in me that honestly thought that I was gay because I was so comfortable with the conversation, and they were not used to that. They were not used to that, which says a lot about their experience. And it feels good giving somebody that place, you know. So I'm gonna agree with it overall, but not 100%, because I do judge, but I just don't. How can I put it? I judge, but I don't throw that judgment out at them. A lot of that connections are going on silently in my head. The judgment is going on silently in my head and then rephrased, connected to myself, realized that I'm being a hypocrite, and then, you know, communicating that way. So I'm not outwardly judging. And it is nice to be recognized, but at the same time, just knowing for myself that I believe that I've really helped that person and given that person a bit of peace, that feels good. That's when I'm at my best. I would describe myself as helpful, caring, altruistic, sympathetic, and supportive. To a point, yeah. I am often told that I am too critical of others, but what others don't know is I have an inner critic who relentlessly and continuously berates me for what is wrong and what needs to be correct. That's a thing. I'm that as well. I can be too critical of others, but I'm critical of myself. That's the exact same voice that was getting at me for judging that theoretical person obsessed with sex. It's the same thing. So I can be judgmental of others, like I am. It's the same person, but that process helps me be the kind of person I am, and it's both good and bad. I've been known to be tough, bold, fearless, and confrontational. On occasion. I am quick to give up my desires, needs, and preferences for the sake of others and support their dreams and passions. No. I have a point. Like, to a point, I'm not that much of a pushover. No matter where I am, errors and mistakes leap out at me, assaulting me, and berate me until they're fixed. No. I notice them sometimes, and it does bug me. But after a certain point, once I'm distracted by something else, it's gone. I believe the world is a dangerous place, and most people have hidden agendas, so I'm constantly on the lookout for possible threats and things that could go wrong. Yeah, to a point. I wouldn't say that everyone is out to get me, but people aren't perfect. And that's always going to come out eventually, especially the more comfortable they are around you. It's hard for me to acknowledge and express my own needs and feelings because I am I'm afraid of appearing selfish. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I kept a lot of the depression stuff to myself until it got really bad, because I knew how much it hurt my mother, and I don't want to worry other people around me and burden other people around me, and people have their own shit to deal with. So I'm not open and honest with it like I am. I'm more open and honest about this stuff when it's not affecting me. When it is affecting me, that's when I cut down. So when it's a problem, when it's legitimate, when it's something I'm actively facing, that's when I don't bring it up. But in past tense, yeah, I'm open about it. So I'm open about experiences, but not necessarily my current issues, because I don't want to burden people. So, yeah. Yeah. I would describe myself as intelligent, private, introspective, curious, wise, and a learner. Yeah. Oh, again, this one, I believe that there is a tragic inner flaw in me which causes me constantly compare myself with others who seem to be complete and whole. The comparison leaves me feeling inferior and full of shame. I desperately avoid being bored, sad, and experiencing my inner anxiety by thinking about new and exciting ideas, staying busy, having fun, and fantasizing about future possibilities. Elements of that, but not a whole. I fear failing, being incapable, unimpressive, to be second best, lackluster. Second best is not lackluster. Second best is really fucking good. Like, getting the silver still means you're one of the best in the fucking world. You're not the best, but you're fucking close to it. Second best is really fucking good. You realize how many people out there are? No. I feel a strong inner need to avoid conflict and retain to a point. When I walk into a room, I have the uncanny ability to morph into whatever needs is needed to win people's approval and appear successful. No. I desire to always be right, balanced, have integrity to reach ideas, deals, and improve myself, others around the world. I fear being weak, powerless, underestimated, disempowered, humiliated, vulnerable, mediocre, harmed, controlled, manipulated, at the mercy of injustice. There's a reason why I don't get into relationships, because all this fucking shit, this fucking this, and fucking this are all a risk. To the point where I don't bother, because they're too much of a risk. I may naturally be skeptical of people, but if someone has won my trust, I am loyal to them for life. Up until I lose it. but basically. I am always wondering how I can possibly squeeze into more pleasurable experience in my life. Not really. My superpower is knowing exactly what others are feeling without them telling me. I always know what they need and feel an inner pull to meet their needs and show them affection. Yeah, I'm not. I feel like this is being a bit oversure of myself, but really this is like one of my biggest superpowers, and I didn't know until I've just received the compliment so many times. I constantly evaluate my inner resources and energy reserves so I know when to refuel by retreating and being alone to process my thoughts and feelings. Very true. My feelings are the foundation of who I am and my identity. I would not be me without them. My thoughts and feelings. There's more to me than just my heart, despite heart being in my name. I have a strong inner drive to please and give others support in hopes that they will appreciate me. I often feel hurt or angry when others have not shown me appreciation what I've done for them. My independence and boundaries are extremely important to me. I withhold my energy, time, presence, and personal information from others, so I never have to depend on anyone to take care of me. I typically do not assert my own opinions or feelings because I fear they will create disharmony between other people and myself. I prefer to go along and get along. I'm gonna click disagree here because generally speaking I am very opinionated, and even when it comes to I will disagree with the group, but even if it's people I don't know, I have a way of saying it without being a dickhead. Again, this might be weird if you've only ever seen me interact with people online, but in person, I'd like to believe I'm quite pleasant to be around. Even if I disagree, I can still see benefits within that viewpoint. And even if it's something that I have a bit of a disdain towards, like religion, especially Christianity and Islam and the bigger ones that we are dealing with right now, I will still push myself to showcase that I'm not entirely hateful towards them. I love the feeling of anticipation of new pleasurable experience as much as no. Despite pleasant circumstances, I am constantly experiencing anxiety about possible future unknown events. To a degree, I am convinced the only way I can prove my worth and win the love of others is to protect an image that is successful and accomplished. No. I've been told that I am too blunt, opinionated, intimidating, insensitive, and domineering, but deep inside, I actually have a tender heart. That's actually quite true, especially in my younger years. I've tried to calm down, and a friend of mine he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, but occasionally I've gone too far and he's told me that, and he's put me in my place, and I really appreciate him for that. I'm hoping if he watches this he knows who he is, but I really appreciate him for that. He has helped mold me into a better person, because like sometimes I need that blunt truth. No, stop being a dickhead, you're going too far, you're getting too much, calm the fuck down. I need that. I do need that on occasion. Deep down, I am resentful of others who are not as wholesome, responsible, orderly, ethical, precise, detailed, methodical, and studious as I am now. I would describe myself as deep, intellectual, emotional, authentic, definitely authentic, accomplished, not accomplished, unique, and loving, and longing for beauty. Authentic completely. Although some of the things I've said in this would not be true. I'd like to think of myself as authentic, but I'm authentic to myself, but not necessarily to other people. So I'm not really authentic, am I? Because I don't openly share things a lot of the time. So no, like, I'd like to think of myself as authentic, but I'm not really, am I? No. I'm glad that I thought that one through. Deep, it sounds pretentious. Intellectual, we've already discussed this. Emotional, yes. Authentic, I'd like to think so, but to myself, yes. To others, not necessarily. Accomplished, no. Unique, yes, but again, all words used to describe that sounds special, and I'm not special, I'm just different, and it sucks. Alright. Which best describes you? My primary focus of attention is detaching emotionally and observing life around me so I can maintain relational boundaries and preserve my energy to make sure I do not experience my greatest fear of being completely depleted of inner resources. I need to feel supported, have guidance from others I trust, and assurance of safety and security. I will never want to be dependent. It's important I have my autonomy, be self-contained, store up energy, have privacy, and keep personal information. I think this is to separate ones that I'm close to. Keep personal information on lockdown. I mentally rehearse what I will do if the worst happens. I actually do this a lot. I mentally rehearse what I will do if the worst happens. You can never be too prepared. You will, if you had a fly on the wall with a camera, like if you had a bird with like a camera that's really a camera surveying you in my house, you would see that I actually talk to myself a lot. I rehearse tone. I rehearse what I'm going to say in certain situations. I will practice different lines. Like I repeat, like as I'm doing daily tasks, like I'm hoovering, I'm doing the dishes, I will repeat shit in my head that's playing on me to figure out the best way to deal with it should that come up. I actually do this a lot, so definitely. I need to be capable and competent by mastering my body of knowledge or by knowing something about everything, which will reduce my need for other people's help. I have an inner committee that constantly scans the horizon to predict outcomes to help me avoid worst case scenarios. But with so many possible outcomes, I find it difficult to make decisions on my own without first seeking guidance from others. If I want people to know how I feel, I will tell them. I generally wish they wouldn't ask. Okay. Some people call me a pessimist, but I say that I'm actually a realist. Too many people have their heads in the clouds and idealize the world. They do not think through what could possibly go wrong and prepare adequately. Yeah, and I do that myself to a certain degree, but it's true. I experience a great deal of angst, a vague sense of apprehension, and that arises in response to unknown or potential threats that may never materialize. I even experience elevated anxiety when life is going too smoothly because I wonder what might come along to ruin it. I do not want obligations placed on me, to be forced to share my emotions and secrets, or to be expected to socialize beyond what... That, 1,000,000,000%. That, especially beyond what... That sounds like fucking torture. No, fuck that. 1,000,000,000% for that one. Another one that wants my fucking... Well, would you look at that? We've actually got a different one. 6. Now, if you remember from that video... one of the ones I did gave me 5, 4, 9, and 6. So this is technically the second time 6 has shown up for me. Just way down there. That's interesting. Okay, this is the only one that's given me something different. Committed, responsible, faithful, suspicious, and anxious. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Okay. Discover the great things about 6. Of all the Enneagram types, 6s stand out for their dependability, steadfast commitment, problem-solving skills, and their desire to reduce risk to ensure safety for themselves and others. Their insightful and analytical minds are realistic, witty, and give them the ability to examine things from multiple angles. That's a big one for me. That one is like one of my biggest strengths. That is... If I had a list of my strengths, that would be in like the top 3. I'm really fucking good at that. Especially when it comes to like social issues. Incredible team players who will value community, easily identify with others, definitely, and long to champion the underdog. They reflect the faithfulness and courage of God. Ooh, that makes me uncomfortable. Core fear of feeling fear itself, without being without support, security, or guidance, being blamed, targeted, alone, or physically abandoned. Core desire, having security, guidance, and support. Like, there are elements of this. Like, I do, because there's gonna come a point where I'm not gonna have family anymore because I don't want kids. I'm too basically frightened to get into a relationship, and most of my family are at a certain age at this point. I'm going to be alone at some point in the future, and that does scare me. But it's a reality that I'm just going to have to face. So that sucks, but Kurlonging, you are safe. Her weaknesses: anxiety, scanning the horizon of life and trying to predict and prevent negative outcomes, especially worst case scenarios, remaining in a consistent state of apprehension and worry. I think maybe I've read some of these wrongs, but I don't really think this is that true. But this is one of the ones I need to listen to the podcast on. I've done 9, 8, 4, 5, and I'm on 7 right now. So I still need to do 1, 2, 3, and 6. So they're like over an hour long each. So yeah, this one doesn't feel that true, truth be told. But we'll see what happens when I look into it. But it's nice actually to get something different instead of 5 again. Especially, Type 6s seek security and certainty. They want to support and guidance, so they will defend their beliefs and test others' attitudes towards them. They will defend their beliefs and test others' attitudes towards them. I don't do that. I'm not a tester. I'm not the kind of person to pull a shit test. I did that once, actually, years ago, and I felt like a shithead since. Key objections. Type 6 don't want to feel unsafe, insecure, uncertain, or abandoned. They don't want to be pressured to do something that will get them in trouble. To be forced to accept new ideas quickly, or to have their beliefs questioned by an outsider. Nah, I don't really relate to this. Like, you can question my beliefs, as long as I can question yours. To force new ideas too quickly, definitely. Just because something is new doesn't mean it's good. Have their beliefs questioned, but like, Type 6 is some of the most reliable, hardworking, dutiful, and steady people out there. Their dependability, sense of humor, ability to foresee problems, and fierce loyalty cause them to be incredible team players, a whole group together, and benefit the common good. However, they are often plagued with a constant internal fear of uncertainty. So essentially, these people attach themselves to other people, so that they'll never be alone. They've always got their little in-group. These are the exact kind of people that start fucking fighting for tribes. This is not me. This is the exact kind of people like, the left are the problem in the world, the right are the problem in the world. Like, that's them. No. This also seems to be coming from a religious angle. And then I remember that the woman who has done this, the woman I got this link from, is religious. So that's probably why she likes this one a lot. When they forget the truth of the gospel, no comment. Type 6s are plagued with uncertainty, self-doubt, worry, and catastrophic thinking, leaving them feeling anxious, unable to relax. Maybe that's why this one... Your top scores. The fucking Thinker Type 5. Are you serious? Why have you given me Type 6 at 80% when the Type 5 is 91%? Why have you done that? Is your top Enneagram type in number 2 positions? How's that happen? Towards the end of the assignment, we asked you to choose, but I was right. So that's what it is. Those last statements lean more towards Type 6 than Type 5. Here we've got Type 9 again, the mediator, 71%. Type 2, it's the first time I've seen that one so high. Type 4 is low. Much lower than it usually is. So we got a different result this time. Let's read Type 5. This is the one I keep getting. Who pulls back from the world and others to observe and prefers to live in their mind. Yeah. They may be wise, visionary, knowledgeable, or abstract. Stingy, eccentric, and intelligently arrogant. Core fear, being annihilated, invaded, or not existing. Being thought incapable or ignorant. I do not like to be ignorant. That's true. And I don't like being incapable. Having obligations placed upon them, all the energy is bleeded. Yeah, like this. Being capable and competent. Yeah. Feeling that they lack inner resources and too much interaction with others will lead to catastrophic depletion, withholding themselves from contact with the world, holding their resources. I mean, yeah, we're not getting much information. Oh, here we go. This is a different page. When we know, trust, and believe we are Christ's beloved child, we are more likely freely... Okay. I'm struggling. Okay. When we trust in the cult, we are more likely to live freely in his grace and healthier levels. Okay. Well, I'm not a big fan of that one. What did he have to say about 9? Core fear, being in conflict, tension, or discarded, feeling shut out or overlooked, losing connection with others. Like this, okay. Every time I do this, like type 5, I feel so strongly connected to, but it's that constant. Nines often mistype as 5s. I'm not a 6. I'm not. No, I got that one wrong. I blame God. This one was really good, though. This one was really good. So we're going to leave it there. This is another one of these that I've got out the way. I'm going to struggle figuring out. Like, I've got a book. I'm waiting for that to come through. This one comes highly recommended. So, I think what I am is... I feel what I am is a 5 with a wing in 4. That's what I think I am. However, my doubt leaves me to believe that what I actually am is yet another 9 that is mistyped as 5. So, I don't think it's ever going to be enough. I think what I need is, like I said last time, is to have somebody analyze me and be like, okay, you're this. This is what I can see. Which is a very 9 sentiment. So, but it's also quite an INFJ sentiment as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I keep getting 5s every fucking time, except that one time that made me a 6. But no, really a 5. It was just the last few questions that pushed that one forward. Like 90... Like, you're a 6! But really you're a 5. Like, what fucking 90... What was it? It was like... Where is it? Let's put that back on. It's like, you're a 6, 80%. But really, you're a 5, 91%. Yeah. Well, I'm certainly removing the fucking email from this one right away. I tell you what. I don't want God knocking at my door every fucking day. Fuck me. Alright. Bye for now. Wish me luck. I'll find it eventually. It took me a while to settle on INFJ as well, so...